All right, hello everyone. I came to the United States 11 years ago. I got a master's degree in Pittsburgh, and I'm a certified teacher in social studies and math. So anyone interested in hiring me, let me know. Congratulations, you guys from the school. Recruiting from China, that's a worthy cause. Uh, because that's the best kept the secret. You can make meaning and make money at the same time. Right now, it's difficult, right? The U.S.-China tension and given the pandemic, right? So, very challenging situation. Uh, we know that U.S.-China relation is the most important relation and in the world that determines human dignity, world peace, and American way of life. So Jesus shaking hand with the emperor is historical China, and then the picture below, that's contemporary China. That's a presentation that I did before about the struggle. So what's your intuition? What's your keywords for China, both in its history and today's reality? You hear from media, right? So no matter from the media on the left, New York Times and CNN, or media on the right, the Fox News, the National Review, they will largely give you a true picture of what's happening there. So the mission and duty of Catholic education. Under the context of the three courses, history, civics, and religion, right? There are three courses to best deliver our mission and duty, in my mind. I just lay out the comparison between China and the West, or say between China and the church. Collectivism versus the individualism, authoritarianism versus the liberal democracy, Confucianism versus Christianity. There's a lot to talk, right? Especially the Jesuits, a big part of that. The Confucianism dialogue with the Christianity, in particular the virtues. When we talk about the virtues, right? They're very much aligned, right? The five Confucian virtues and the seven and 5 or 7 virtues in our Christianity. Nationalism versus the universal values. So some people say, the government say, well, I use a CCP. CCP means the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, CCP may say that, well, you guys are promoting human rights, okay, but that's American human rights. That may not fit in our Chinese context. We're doing our Chinese human rights, right? Those you don't understand, right? American democracy, right? We have Chinese democracy, right? So that's what I mean. Nationalism versus the universal values. Well, we'll talk about church, right? Our universal church, Catholic Church. China would say we're a sinicized church, right? Xi Jinping said the sinicized church, right? Sinicization, right? That's a movement promoted by Xi. Atheism versus God, right? Okay, so when I teach my students, I try to lay out 3 layers of knowing the word, of knowing the knowledge, learning knowledge, building that worldview of 3 layers, right? The first layer, well, actually the 3 layers. The first, I would tell them, hey guys, most of the Chinese human being, we're in the middle, right? The middle layer, which is the reason and experience, right? Know the word. That began from the Enlightenment era, right? So human knowledge, human nature and knowledge should be anchored. But okay, well, so reason and experience, right? That's when we study different curriculum, right? We know the word, we learn knowledge. That's the layer most the Chinese feel comfortable, and we're confined in this layer. But I tell my students that those knowledge, whichever subject, should be anchored on there's a bottom line. And hopefully the bottom line is what we call universal values, right? No matter whatever subject, you should have the moral bottom line to deliver that knowledge to better the common good. So what are the universal values? Human dignity, rule of law, natural rights, moral law, social contract, and etc. Those are so foreign and so abstract to the Chinese, right? So that's what I call the bottom line, right? Now, from the middle layer, reason and experience, if we go up, there's a limit that human beings cannot understand some knowledge. That's what we call the upper limit, the religion. That's where the spiritual world come around, right? The divine revelation of the knowledge, the truth, reality of God, the Almighty, right? So sometimes when we evangelize, I tell people that, hey, don't reason, don't try to understand God from your experience, from the 5 senses. It doesn't work. Believe first without seeing, right? Yeah. So our duty in the classroom, at least in my classroom, build a bottom line, and open upper line. All right, it's very challenging. Build the bottom line, open upper line, and it's so important, right? So I'll just lay out 10 questions that the Chinese will ask you when they arrive in your school. In the course of 3, we're going to have dinner, right? So first, 3 questions, cultural questions. Then cultural questions, they're just an appetizer, right? I try to be humorous, right? Then 3 political questions they're likely to ask, or three issues, right? So this is the main course, right? It's heavy, right? Then religious 4 questions, they're also heavy. That's not dessert. It's heavy, right? It's a tough dialogue, right? So it's also main course. No, we have these. No, we don't have desserts. So no dessert, because the burden is heavy and the road is long. That's by the ancient Chinese saying. Okay, so 10 questions. First question they're likely to ask: what? I'm getting into religious school, right? Oh, by the way, I worked 3 years full time in Pittsburgh with 60, 80 Chinese students from China. We brought them to the. You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I live with them, right, in the dorm. So 3 years with them. So I know them. Some students told me that the moment they are in Pittsburgh, in Catholic school here in Pittsburgh, high school, they realized, well, this is religious school. Nobody told me. The recruiting agents in China, they didn't tell me this is a religious school, let alone this is a Catholic school. What is a Catholic school? Right. So some agents, they're intentionally hiding the nature of the school. Students don't take the responsibility. Somebody's reminding me, oh, Tom, you told me it's 10 minutes, halfway. Oh, okay, speed up. Students don't take the responsibility to check the official website of the school. Attending mass is mandatory, at least in my Catholic school. So not attending mass will be punished. Challenges with the religion class, right? That course. very challenging with the challenge with those unfamiliar foreign concepts, right? What is the Trinity? What is the sacrament, right? What is Eucharist, right? Also with the vocabularies, right? And to see in order for the Chinese to learn the background, they read Wikipedia, right? It takes them 5 or 10 times more times for the Chinese to understand the basic background of those of this curriculum. So they're more like tend to cheat in order to get a basic passing grade, a good GPA. And also know that some Catholic schools don't even interview the students. That's bad. And sometimes lower the bar of admission, given language deficiency. There's consequence, right? Question 2: would I better conform or shut up? Students might ask. Well, in Chinese culture, letting others finish talk first, it's a virtue. Well, maybe that's also the virtue among your Americans, right? But unfortunately, I find many Americans like to interrupt others talking, to be honest. Virtue, with this virtue, plus if you're an introvert, with the language barrier, with American interruption, or their active participation in the talk, equals Chinese silence. That's bad, right? Collectivism. That means I'll sacrifice myself for the benefit of the group. It's also a virtue for many Chinese, right? So given that, I encourage you take extra effort to make sure that their yes is indeed a yes, their no is indeed a no, right? But ask them better in private. They'll tell you what's on their mind. And in classroom, pick up Chinese to speak, right? I encourage them pick up their different names to individuals to speak up, right? Don't let them be overwhelmed by the American speakers, right? The students. Number 3, complain in private, praise in public, right? That's a golden rule based on human nature, right? Isn't it? So always criticize and give suggestions in private. But I appreciate you praising my gift to you, but not in public. Well, my personal experience, I give gifts sometimes to my American colleague, American teacher, professor, right? Why? Give them a gift. That individual would show to their friends, other American colleagues and friends, hey, see, this is the gift that Luke gave me. Oh, so nice. Well, come on, don't do that. That embarrassed me. How can embarrass me? We Chinese would think, what would the other American colleagues think? Hey, look, why don't you give me a gift, right? Is that's a bias, right? What are you doing? So I don't know if you guys understand. So that's embarrassing to me, right? So in private, you can talk about thank you, right? So that's a political question. Well, Chinese students might challenge you. Hey, any criticism of my government is an insult to my nation and people. They can't distinguish between the party, the government, and a nation, right? The people, right? Party state. That's what I call. So when Trump said a Chinese virus, we need to ask, what do you mean by Chinese? Do you mean Chinese government, the CCP, or the Chinese people, right? They're different. Radical nationalism. That's the environment there. American church school is brainwashing. So ask them, what is it? What is brainwashing? Can we debate and can we debate the pros and cons of fascism, or the pros of fascism? I don't know, but we can at least talk about that, right? Debate fascism and communism in American classroom, no problem, right? 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, anyway. Next question. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Tibet, Uighur, the Xinjiang Muslims, right? None of your business, America. Don't criticize us, right? This would say you're interfering with our internal affairs. That's what the CCP says, right? So you can ask them what is in internal affairs, right? And ask them what's the right relation between the three powers. I mean, the first two powers: godly power, civil government, and human rights. Which goes first, right? Human rights, government, right? Is there a just war, right? What are the conditions for civil disobedience, right? Those you can encourage them to read. There's the Catholic Social Teaching, that book. We have the Chinese version of that book. Very good book, right? That's an official book of a Catholic Social Teaching. So Chinese may ask, hey, why do America and the church speak for those rebellious and separatist Hong Kong movements, Taiwan, and Dalai Lama and Uyghurs? Why do you support them, right? They're bad people. They're rebels, right? So you need to get ready to answer their question. Next, political. The West made up Tiananmen Square, 1989 Tiananmen Massacre. That's number one, the most dangerous topic in the entire China, right? Number one taboo in China. But what's good here in the U.S. is that in your history book, I see that there's always one page talking about that 1989 Tiananmen Massacre. There's a page, sometimes a picture with a tank man, right? So this is when you use Baidu to search tank man. This is what you see in China, right? The movie superstar. This is use Google to search tank man, right? Religious question. I'm in Catholic school, not a Christian school. Well, you need to know that a Chinese translation of Christianity is understood. 基督教 is understood as the Protestant in China. So Catholicism you thought as quite different from Christianity in the Chinese mind, right? That there's a great division and a mutual misunderstanding, even attack between the Catholic and Protestant communities in China, right? I don't like you to always refer to persecuted Christians in China. And what's Sino-Vatican relations, right? So you may discuss with the students, what is loyal to CCP or loyal to the Chinese nation, loyal to Pope, loyal to Christ, and loyal to conscience? What does it mean, right? Faithful citizen, right? Here in the U.S., right? Be a faithful citizen. Be faithful to God, to the Holy See, and also be faithful to the nation, right? So the right inner order enables right social order, right? The classical book by Russell Kirk, The Roots of American Order. What is the slogan? Love China, love church mean? You would go to China on the street, you see that official slogan from CCP, right? Love China, love church. No, not on the street, in front of in the church, in the Chinese church, physically. What is the Sinicization of church promoted by Xi Jinping? Right. Abortion, LGBT, immigration, things were never thought about, right? So the word dignity is so foreign and abstract to most Chinese. Human life, so foreign, all right, from conception to natural death. Never thought about that. Illegal immigrants, is it fair to legal ones? Well, I would think that way. I'm a legal immigrant, right? So those are things we can debate, right? Time to debate policies, Christian left and Christian right, right? Well, the students might ask, Catholic Joe is pro-choice. Is he a Catholic? What about the leader of Hong Kong, right? Claims to be Catholic also. What about Nancy Pelosi, right? Yeah. Nancy Pelosi for decades is criticizing Chinese human rights record. By the way. Oh, am I done? 1 minute left. Okay. Separation of church and state is an equal separation of faith and politics. Here I quote JFK. All right. And first political candidate, them a Catholic, who happens to be a Catholic. Well, this is maybe a manifestation of a separation of church and state, right? But about Pence? Pence said, I'm a Christian first, and a conservative, and a Republican in that order. Oh, this is maybe a great integration of faith and politics, right? Okay, only the selected few students will ask these questions. If we avoid them, we fail our duty to bring future leaders to truth, love, and justice, than who we are. Some resources. Arsenal Peace. Remember FDR, the Fireside Talk, Arsenal of Democracy, 1940. Have them read this. The three top figures of knowing Chinese dissidents: Liu Xiaobo, Dr. Liu Xiaobo, Ai Weiwei, and Chen Guangcheng, Cardinal Zen and Jimmy Lai of Hong Kong, Catholics, right? This man is very interesting, right? China expert, right? Matt Pottinger. Pence China speech at Hudson Institute, Pompeo China speech at Ronald Reagan Institute and the Richard Nixon Library. Very rich in history, right, about U.S.-China relation. Beautiful. This book, wonderful. The Beautiful Country and the Middle Kingdom, American China. Comprehensive. And the best kept secret, 120 Martyr Saints of China. John Paul II, canonized October 1st, 2000. Okay.